to come to the mountains.
Well, Lagiaretta having a great trip through the mountains again. There he is. He's now up to 5th place overall. Claude Coquillon riding it, and he looks like Bugno has joined the back. These are the heads of state in the Tour de France. They're all here. You've got the man who's 3rd overall at the front, the leader in 2nd place, the 2nd overall in 3rd place. You've got Gianni Bugno, who lies in 6th place, Lagiaretta, who lies in 5th place, and the one name we're missing, Paul, is Eric Breukink.
Well, Breukink has missed this move again. He obviously was having a hard time yesterday. I thought it may well have been only because of his mechanical problems, but he does seem to have missed a move like this today.
Well, Chiappucci is setting the pace, and Paul Schoenfeld, he made his big mistake yesterday, having ridden a great show of defiance all day. He then came to the front and set the pace, and Greg LeMond was able to jump him because he was setting the pace up the last climb to Lutz Ardiden. He might have been better to have sat back and let a teammate or another rider set the pace. There was no teammates of his, in fact, left in that front group. Looking down from the helicopter on the climb of the Marie Blanc, you can see how the lead group has split under the impetus of Pedro Delgado. Let's not forget, though, they are riding 9 minutes behind the leaders on the road, none of which are going to affect the overall result in the Tour de France.
Well, there seems to be a bit of a regrouping going on there. It may well be that the PDM riders are trying to pull it all back together again for Eric Breukink.
Still Delgado, Chiappucci, Greg LeMond, the orders, they go up the climb. Certainly Greg LeMond started with a tactic in mind this morning when his teammate Gilbert Duclos-Lassalle attacked the minute the flag dropped, and it was only a few kilometres to the start of the climb of the Aubisque, and we thought it was the beginning of the softening up process for Chiappucci, but instead a group has gone away well into the lead. Here is Indurain, who's become quite a star in this year's Tour de France. Winner yesterday on Lutz Ardiden. Greg LeMond marking him closely, looking extremely cool again. Sorry about the little bit of picture breakup we're experiencing, but there's the reason, I'm afraid. The trees on the mountainside here, they interfere with the radio signals that come up from the motorbikes down on the bottom floor there.
Well, Phil, I've just heard in the last kilometre of the climb there, Greg LeMond has punctured, and I couldn't see any of his teammates there to pass a wheel to him, so it may well be that this is one of the turning points of the Tour.
Well, that's amazing. LeMond puncturing right on the climb of the Marie Blanc. We're back up with the leaders here now, the group that went over the top. Well, as we watch here, the leaders on the road today in the Tour de France, this group of 6 riders. We are hearing from out on the course that Greg LeMond has had to wait a long time for a wheel. His team car obviously blocked by the narrow roads on the climb of the Marie Blanc. He is now chasing along with 2 of his teammates, and we'll catch up with that story straight after the break. Well, welcome back to the Tour de France, and the great sensation is going on here. We're looking now at Greg LeMond, who is trying to get back to the race. The last time check following his puncture, 1 minute and 6 seconds behind the race leader, Claudio Chiappucci. This changing face of the Tour de France, Gilbert Duclos-Lassalle, who has been in the leading group ever since the race started today, has been stopped by his team manager, Roger Leger, and is waiting to give aid to LeMond in the chase.
Well, they've got to pull out all the stops, the Z team, to try and get Greg LeMond back into contention here. And LeMond is absolutely flying down this little descent to try and get back into contention. 1 minute is amazing. In fact, another of these Z riders has stopped from the front group, and he's in fact waiting. It's Kvalzol, who's in the leading group of 6 riders, is stopped in the road. He's now going to wait for Greg LeMond to catch him, and then he'll try and pace him back into the field. This is amazing. They're taking real dramatic measures here.
I've never seen this in the Tour de France before, Paul. Roger Leger has pulled everybody to the side of the road who were in the lead group, and that was Attila Kvalzol we saw by his car. He's been told to wait, and he's going to have to pace his race leader back into this race now. 1 minute, 6 seconds the gap. Chiappucci is up the road, so too is Pedro Delgado. And let's go up to the leading group. Here they are. There is Chiappucci in the centre. And all of the riders in the white with the black stripes down are Delgado's team, who are trying to drive this race along. And they have good support here, Paul, from Eric Breukink in 2nd place, I think it is.
Yes, and the Banesto team are there, but I think the Z team really have panicked somewhat because there's a check coming through now that it's come down to 56 seconds, and this group here doesn't seem to be flying quite as much as the train behind with Greg LeMond and his Z team. I'm really surprised at Leger stopping Kvalzol in the front, because he was something like 9 minutes in the front, so he'd have a long time to wait at the side of the road before Greg LeMond actually comes back.
Well, there's that confirmation, Paul. 56 seconds, so the chase has knocked off 10 seconds. But they've also got the Carrera riders riding on that chase group now. That was Giorotto up there, who won in Switzerland the other week in the Tour, of course, and also helping him, Eric Maschler, the Swiss rider. Now we've got Jerome Simon, who's come to the front. I think it's Cornier who's nipped up behind. There's LeMond. It's not going fast enough for him. For the first time, LeMond is showing concern on his face. He's been put on the defensive through no fault of his own, a simple puncture.
And there the Carrera boy shouting at the camera, telling the camera that he's filming LeMond too close and allowing LeMond to get a little bit of a slipstream effect. Look there in second place is the Carrera rider waving at the TV camera.
Now here they are waiting up the road. This is Duclos Lasalle, who's just come back from being literally up the road. He's riding round. I've never seen this in the Tour de France. I'm sorry about the picture breakup. That is the problem we've explained with the trees. But that was a shot worth showing you of Attila Volzvoll and Gilbert Duclos Lasalle literally waiting in the road for the leader to come towards them. I think there's a rule, isn't there, Paul? You're not allowed to ride the wrong way down the course.
You're not allowed to ride the wrong way down the course, but in fact, Nico Verhoeven last year in the Kellogg's Tour of Britain did just that when Martin Earley and Sean Kelly were having a great deal of trouble when Robert Miller rode to his victorious stage in Cardiff. And Verhoeven actually rode down the course the opposite way to help his teammates. It didn't do any good. But these two riders at the moment are waiting, and it's going to be some time before this group of Greg LeMond catches them up.
Now, you may have noticed there that a motorbike has come showing a red disc, and that is the race commissaire. They've now taken away from the race the television motorbikes and the press motorbikes, so we won't be giving you any more close-up shots because of the complaints being registered by the Carrera riders in that group. The commissaires, the referees, have come in and cleared everybody away. They want this to be a good, clean chase.
Well, there you can see on the right hand of the road there, Duclos Lasalle and Kvalzol. They're still waiting. The chasing group of Chiappucci, the leading group of Chiappucci, has gone by, and now they'll wait for Greg LeMond and then try and get LeMond back into contention.
Well, they will know exactly what they've got to do. Chiappucci's just raced by with Pedro Delgado and Eric Breukink. And they know that in a few seconds' time they're going to have to go into the pain barrier to try and pull this group back up. Well, this briefly is the leading group, who are not reshaping the Tour de France today.
Well, this seems to be some form of regrouping at the front as well, because Laurent Biondi, who was in the chasing group before, has come back together. So there's more riders here. There's Roland Leclerc trying to get some information from his team car at the moment.
So the leading group has swelled from a chase group behind. Remember, there was 22 of them at the start. They split up on the two mountains, but they're slowly coming back together. This is Dominique Arnaud, number 23. Well, this is Greg LeMond now. The latest time check is 20 seconds. That's all he is now, behind, catching up with the race leader once again. And there is Duclos Lasalle, the rider who waited for him. Now you see why Roger Leger brought him back. This strong man who actually lives in this area of France as well and producing the goods now. This is the Z train that's trying to pull Greg LeMond back up to the race leader.
Well, at 20 seconds, they'll now see the tail end of the bunch in front of them, so that'll be a real sign of encouragement for them, and they should get back into the bunch before too long.
There's Sean Kelly gritting his teeth too. He won't help at all. Eric Breukink is up in the group ahead. And Thierry Claverola, king of the mountains in this year's Tour de France, he'll just join on the back end for the ride. There's the group, and here's the chase. They're almost on. So a little slice of drama will be written into the history books of the Tour de France when we recall the 1990 race, because Greg LeMond was over a minute behind, and it took a lot of reorganizing the chase to bring this down to a race again of 5 seconds. And it's Gilbert Duclos Lasalle who paces the riders back up to the lead. And Greg LeMond will be reading, I would think, Paul, a sigh of relief right now.
Well, he definitely will, but actually, on second thought, that was probably quite a good move by Roger Leger to stop those two riders, because LeMond only had two teammates with him, so it may have taken him a lot longer to get back, and he would have had to use a lot of his own personal force. Stopping those two riders has helped him get back into the race without too much energy.
But the field is split immediately again. Delgado was the rider we just passed. The yellow jersey has gone forward into this group. Claudio Chiappucci is turning out to be quite a star, and he'll never be the same rider again, that's for sure, because this year in the Tour de France, he has risen to the occasion. 81st in the Tour de France a year ago, and now the race leader. So this race continues to split up, but the main field has regrouped with all of the riders who matter together. 4 kilometers to go now for the leaders in the Tour de France after all the drama today. 2:11 is Konachev. Here's confirmation of the group. It's the same group, in fact, that's led this race all day. They're now chasing down these two riders. The other rider is Johan Bruneel, and they've broken clear in the last couple of kilometers in a bid for victory. They actually went ahead of the lead group on the road on the climb of the Côte de Notre Dame, and they have a lead of just on 20 seconds over that group. Steve Bauer has tried desperately to bridge the gap, and there he is now chasing to try and get across and maybe win the stage.
Well, as they come into the finishing, the last finishing kilometres, 1.5 kilometres to go, I think Bauer is only 18 metres behind these riders at the moment, and he really will be giving everything he's got to try and get that stage victory in the Tour. There is Bauer just going through the trees, and he'll see the riders just in front of him.
So Steve Bauer making one last big effort, and it's a pity that house is in the way, otherwise he will probably see the two leaders. Let's see if they come through the house. There they are. So we've got the two leaders. No, it's still Bauer here. It's still Bauer. We're following Steve Bauer towards the line. He keeps looking up. He can see them because then he puts his head down. There they are. So Bauer has made a very, very good pursuit from that group. He just got away over the top of the Côte de Notre Dame. He missed the move that they made, and he's chased them ever since. He's inched closer. At one stage he was over half a minute back. Now he's a matter of 50 metres or so. They're under the kilometre kite. That was Bauer. These are the leaders swinging up towards the finish now. They're very, very close to the line. They're going to start thinking now which one can take it. They'll lose time while they do that. And it looks to me as though Bruneel has got the left here. Konishev's gone through on the inside. Bruneel will like that. He'll like to take the slipstream of the Russian rider at this stage. But Konachev will be thinking of his great sprint in the World Championship last year when he beat Sean Kelly, and he wasn't quite quick enough to get alongside Greg LeMond, who won by inches.
Well, he wasn't quite good enough, but will he be good enough to take Johan Bruneel today? Bruneel taking the back seat at the moment, letting Konachev do all the pacemaking. The two riders now both starting to look over their shoulders. They can probably sense that Steve Bauer is somewhere there behind them, but is he going to have enough time to make it? I'm not sure. There he is. It's coming close.
350 metres to go, and Bauer has started his sprint. They're about to start there. They're not going to make it. Now it's Bauer. Bruneel is going to try and take Konachev on the line. Konachev, the first Soviet winner, if he gets it, but Bruneel is coming on the right, and I think he's got it. Konachev has found the effort, the first ever Soviet rider to win a stage of the Tour de France. Konachev does it in Pau. Johan Bruneel is second, and Steve Bauer, his chase all in vain as he comes over the line, a shattered rider, 11 seconds behind the two leaders. But a great end to what has been a terrific day in the Tour de France, of totally different proportions to yesterday, when this day Greg LeMond was in trouble. And here, headed by Pedro Delgado, over 4 minutes has ticked by at the finishing line, is the main field, and all of the top 6 riders in the Tour de France are in this group. So they're losing a few minutes to the riders who are many, many minutes behind them overall. That's not important now. The important thing is that the yellow jersey is here. Claudio Chiappucci sitting right behind the world champion Greg LeMond, and the Z team setting the pace, LeMond's team, as they have done under the kilometre kite. They've had a real tough day today. They had to prove what a good team they were. They lead this race in the team competition as well. And they went back, they picked up their leader who had a puncture, they dragged him back up to the yellow jersey, and so they neutralized the race today. So the race is leaving the Pyrenees with the yellow jersey, very surprisingly, staying on the shoulders of Claudio Chiappucci, and the way he's ridden, everybody wants to congratulate him for that. And I can tell you at the finishing line, There are literally hundreds of Italian fans waving placards, so he's going to get a tremendous reception tonight because they will cheer him on his way up towards Paris tomorrow, still wearing the yellow jersey. So be it, by only 5 seconds. There is the leading group, as seen from about 300 feet above Po. And the Z team are bringing them home. Bruno Cornier digging deep. And Greg LeMond is going to finish off the sprint. Look at this, he's going to lead the group home if he can. Indurain's taking him on the inside though, and he hasn't found the answer how to beat Miguel Indurain. Chiappucci even goes over Greg on the line. Indurain, Chiappucci and Greg LeMond brought the race over the line. 5.5 minutes down, but there'll be no change overall tonight.
Let's first of all have a look at the stage result here in Po. A win for Dmitry Konishev, the first ever by a rider from the Soviet Union. A 1-second victory for him over Johan Brunel of Belgium. In third place, Steve Bauer. He never quite got on, did he? Fourth place, Jean-Claude Colotti, the sprinter, just pipping Kasani in 5th spot. Well, I can tell you now that Konishev is in demand here because a lot of the teams want to sign him up for next year. He's proving to be quite a rider. The first Soviet to lead the King of the Mountains on the opening week of the Tour, and now he finally gets the staged win he's tried for 2 weeks. The overall situation, let's have a look at that. No change at all in the end. That 5-second gap still remains between Greg LeMond and Claudio Chiappucci. In third place is Pedro Delgado. All of the names here rather familiar to us now. Well, I spoke to Kathy LeMond actually just after the finish because we couldn't find Greg, and she said that Greg was standing by the roadside shouting to the crowd, "Give me a wheel, anybody give me a wheel, I could lose the Tour de France." And I'm not surprised because Greg for a moment did seem to panic at one stage over a minute back. The whole of the Z team paced him back into the action. Chiappucci's moment may have disappeared there.